Playbook live. Today we're talking all about Microsoft. I'm not even going to hit you with no crazy opening. We're talking about Microsoft. Microsoft, the sleeping giant. Microsoft, JP Morgan's top stock. Microsoft, the tech Mongol who is doing tons of things. Why should Microsoft be in your stock portfolio? All right, we're going to deep dive into all things Microsoft and just really talk about some of the amazing things that it's doing, and kind of bounce some ideas amongst me and Cornell and just figure out why is Microsoft not in your portfolio if it isn't, and if it is, awesome. Why don't you have more Microsoft? All right, start things off, man. Microsoft has been around for a long time, right? One of the oldest tech companies, um, but in all of its glory, it has not lost or skipped a beat when it comes to changing and transitioning from being a tech company and then one that is adopting things of the future, right? If you have heard of any of the cloud computing or cloud technology, you got Microsoft Azure. I'm gonna just start with that. Okay. Microsoft Azure is one of the many ways that it's implementing cloud technology, not to mention artificial intelligence, um, Copilot on a bunch of different devices. It has basically a lot of ways to increase its revenue, right? So I'm gonna just drop that in the bucket right there. One of Microsoft's biggest technologies is that Azure cloud platform. And I know Cornell, that's just again the tip of the iceberg. What are some of the other facts about Microsoft? You could dive in either into the financials or just more of its technology. But go for it, bro.
I'm actually glad that you brought up like the cloud uh
Hmm.
section that they got going on. I want to dig deeper into that, but first I want to tell everybody what prompted this episode. So recently, I think it was like on Friday, Microsoft was named top pick by Morgan Stanley, especially coming into this AI push. And as you all know, if you've been following AI, it's the biggest thing that's going on right now, especially in investments. They say it could even be bigger than the creation of the internet. So my thing is, with this going on, it would behoove you to be part to have the to be invested in companies that are making the push for AI because they're still saying that this is ground floor. Think about like how much more uh AI can develop, and if your money is in these entities while they're developing AI. Once we get to a point where it's settled and it's fully integrated into our daily lives, just imagine the benefits, imagine the profits that you could have. And just to reiterate, we're talking about Microsoft and they're why they're such a great stock. And I appreciate everybody. Well, we appreciate everybody that's in here tuning in. Make sure that you like and share uh, and because this information could help somebody out, and especially, give us a thumbs up or a 5-star rating on the podcast. We appreciate you. But yeah, so one reason why I'm looking at Microsoft so hard is because Microsoft is actually down about 10% from its all-time high. Like while all these other tech stocks are at an all-time high, Microsoft is still sleeping this year. So I'm hoping, to catch it while it's down because I do expect for Microsoft to join the rest of tech in getting to an all-time high. What are your thoughts, man?
I agree with you 1,000%, man. Microsoft is one of those older companies that, I mean, don't get me wrong. People talk about Microsoft a lot, but it's not a new kid on the block. It's not flashy. Microsoft has been consistently hitting balls out the park, and it's just continuing to grow by adding more and more applications. JP Morgan is spot on with having it as its top stock in their portfolio. And yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of what it's doing is just showing that it is able to adjust to the new landscape, which is AI, right? It has partnerships with Open AI. It has Anthropic's Claude integrated into its Microsoft 365 pilot. right? And then let's just talk numbers for a sec. Last quarter, Microsoft did about $76 billion in revenue just in the last quarter, right? Microsoft is not slowing down. It is a giant that continues to grow. And then it also does not forget about its investors. Year after year, Microsoft is constantly increasing its dividend yield, right? It's been doing it for at least the last 2 decades, increasing the amount of money that you get just for owning Microsoft stock, right? If you want to learn more about dividends, or if you don't know what a dividend is, it's basically when a company makes money, they can do a couple of things with the money that they make. They can even invest it back into the company. One of the other things they can do is pay out its investors, and that is where you get dividends from. So Microsoft is big on giving dividends, and we have consistently seen Microsoft increase its dividend rate, which which is a great way for for people to um, become more invested in the stock market, in Microsoft as a stock, right? It makes you want to buy more Microsoft stock because as you buy more Microsoft stock, you get more money from dividends, right? So there is the AI boom that's happening. There is the actual revenue that Microsoft is bringing in. There's a dividend yield. And Microsoft itself has its own chip strategy, right? Its own silicone strategy where they are developing custom AI accelerators. All right. So yes, you have AI, you have chip makers like Nvidia and some of the other big chip makers, but Microsoft is not so far out the game, right? It has its own way. They have AI accelerators called Maya and Cobalt. These are CPUs that are going to assist with their larger um, artificial intelligence recall program where they're taking old Microsoft computers and actually integrating artificial intelligence into the laptop. So again, AI, I mean, Microsoft is doing a lot. Artificial intelligence, they're calling it like a Windows refresh. They're taking old old Windows computers and literally installing artificial intelligence on them. So you don't have to use a third party app. Your computer itself has AI built into it. So yeah, that I mean, it's going in a lot of different directions, and we can't even forget about the fact that Microsoft is a gaming company too. You know what I mean? So it has all of these different technologies, cloud, AI, chip making, but then also there's gaming, right? So they have Activision under their belt. And I mean, we can keep going on and on and on, but this is the reason why Microsoft is such a powerhouse company. Then it's not that they are a jack of all trades, they're more of an ace of all trades. They're doing all of these really well. It's not they're mediocre at a bunch of different things. They are doing amazing things in a bunch of different directions. So, yeah. Cool. I
I
just said
agree.
a whole lot, but go ahead. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on some of the different avenues that Microsoft is taking?
So I just wanted to first just talk about on top of everything that you said, they also have a 36.15% profit margin, which is excellent. So for every $100 they're making, they profit $36 of that. And also, I really wanted to speak about because I know we went into AI and also the chips. I really wanted to speak about their relationship with OpenAI, which has been a huge factor with this AI
Hmm.
push. Because as you know, OpenAI is the most used AI source right now,
Yeah.
above everything else, above Gemini. And if you personally use these things, you can just see the difference between like efficiency when it comes to OpenAI and Gemini. Like especially with creating visuals and things of that nature, OpenAI just it's just better. In my opinion, from me using both of them actually.
Yeah.
But Microsoft first invested in OpenAI in 2019 with $1 billion, right? And then later on, they expanded this connection by investing another 10 billion. So it got to a point where Microsoft actually owned 40. Well, I think they still own 49% of OpenAI. In exchange, Microsoft also gained special licensing and integration rights for OpenAI's model. And so for Microsoft, this was less of a play for getting profit and more of a play for making Azure. How is that how you say it?
At Azure.
Azure
Yeah.
the backbone for OpenAI and all of GPT. So
Hmm.
this was a very strategic play for Microsoft, especially in something an evolving field or evolving initiative that's being pushed. So yeah, I think Microsoft is a great company. I think they have a
Yeah.
lot of future sight. I think that they're innovative, and yeah, like
Absolutely.
I'm hyped about like what's coming next for them. To be honest,
Yeah. See, the thing with Microsoft, it's one of those, and I'm going back to that dividend conversation with the dividend talk that I just mentioned. A lot of times, dividend stocks don't grow as much as we would want them to because they are paying their money back to their investors. Microsoft gives a 91 cents a share dividend. That is that's wild. 91 cents a share. For for each share of Microsoft, you get it 91 cents back, and they do it. Um, well, the next payable is December 11th. I'm trying to see. They don't have the actual like the cycle, but 91 cents a share is still crazy, right? Just for owning a stock that's actually moving as well. This is a growth stock, people. This is not a stock that stands still and you only get dividend yields from it. It is a growth stock that pays you, that actually allows you to take that money, either buy more Microsoft or use it to, take it out the stock market and have it be your income, however you want to run your dividend play. Um, so yeah, I think that what Microsoft is doing is definitely far from a vertical move, right? Though they are a tech company, they're building more of like a fortress, a lot of different areas and a lot of different avenues, creating partnerships that's only going to bolster everything that they're doing. And they're creating very strategic partnerships as well. Microsoft understood how powerful OpenAI was, so they started having conversations about creating a partnership there. And now, again, they're just integrating all of these things into Microsoft style applications, things like Copilot, things like Microsoft Azure. So, yeah, I think that Microsoft is just one of those giants that should be looked at. Can't tell you what to do, but Microsoft is definitely one of those companies that is doing very well, and it has no signs of slowing down. Right? A lot of companies start to gas out after a while, but I don't see Microsoft as one of those. I see them as constantly innovating. They're constantly adjusting and making positive changes for their company. So, yeah,
and
I would agree with you, Cornell. Go ahead.
yeah, and my thing is we spoke so much about like what their future site is and the integration like into integrating AI into like our daily lives and things of that nature. But we gotta this is the type of company that I look for, like companies that we can't survive without. We gotta realize like a lot of our computer software like interface is Windows. You know, that's Microsoft. If Microsoft were to just go away tomorrow, like how screwed will we be?
Hmm. Be in a weird place for a
We'd be in a
while,
weird
bro.
place. That's what I'm
In a
saying.
weird place
So,
for a while.
and that's how you know it's not going anywhere. Even if something treacherous happened to Microsoft, the government will have to bail them out. Think about when
Hmm.
COVID happened and all the airlines were losing substantial profit. The government had to buy them out. We need airlines. You
Yeah.
can't just let these businesses fail. It's the same
Hmm.
thing with Microsoft. The same thing with Apple. You see what I'm saying? It's too integrated into our daily lives for the businesses. I hate to say too big to fail, but it's literally too big to fail.
Yeah. It's not it's a necessary company, at least for now, and unless another company takes its place. But right now, it's not in a position to where if it did go poof tomorrow, we would be okay. It would be a lot of scrambling, it'll be a lot of confusion because so many businesses, so much money is integrated into Microsoft working, you know? It's it's not a single application. Microsoft is massive. It's an ecosystem, right? And if the ecosystem goes down, so many things would stop working. How many applications run on Windows? Go ahead.
Didn't something happen with the planes because of a like a app through Microsoft or something?
I do remember that. Yes, it was an update that ended up throwing off.
And it
Yeah, this was
grounded.
like it was either earlier this year or late last year
I think it
where
was late last year, and it
yeah,
grounded. I think a lot of planes. I don't want to throw out a random number because I don't remember, but yeah, like just like it, and that just attributes to what you were saying that
CrowdStrike.
some
That was it.
yeah, so
Crowd.
CrowdStrike and
Mhm.
so something happening with just a system through Microsoft, like it's bigger than just our laptops and our Xboxes, right?
Mhm.
It's things that we need for travel, like to get from one
Yeah.
place to another. Think about how many people were stuck in a place that was not their home, or how many people
Yeah.
missed a business trip. You see what I'm saying? Like travel is essential, especially in our society. We got to get places.
Yeah. And I mean, you were saying travel, but even deeper than that, and I dare I say more important than that, hospitals.
Yeah.
Hospital computers went down. We're talking about people's lives at this point. And because the computer system went down, they're unable to, figure out what the schedule is, understand what prescription they have taken, haven't taken.
Mm.
Yeah. Banks. People can't exchange money. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Travel was one thing, but you talking about things that people need to do every day, like figure out whether or not someone is, what their diagnosis is. We use and keep information on computers securely, of course, but we still keep information on computers. And if we're seeing that blue screen of death, which happened in July last year, when CrowdStrike had that security mishap, yeah, there were banks, hospitals, airlines, lots of businesses where they just could not perform because Microsoft services went down, Teams, um, Gmail, well,
Yeah.
that's not, but yeah, but
All right.
Windows. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to say, but yeah,
But
Outlook. That's what I meant to say. Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, but yeah, it's tied to a lot of things. So it's one of those companies again that we rely on heavily. Maybe it may not be a good thing. Now that I'm saying it more and more that if one company does have a fault or a mishap, that we kind of go scrambling. But
it's
that's just the
realistic.
reality we live in. Yeah, it's the reality right now. So yeah. With that being said, though, Microsoft is one of those not well, kind of like the grandfather of companies. It's a pretty old company. Um, what type of diversification do you go into when you see companies like Microsoft and have a feeling of how well they're going to do? Do you then decide to put a good bit of money in this company that you truly believe in, or how does your diversification work? You know what I mean? Because we talk about diversifying your portfolio all the time, but then we talk about how great these companies are. So it's like, why diversify if I can just put all my money into this company that is bound to succeed? You know what I mean?
That's real, man. And it's really a
Yeah.
hard answer. I really, honestly, you know, I'm gonna say things that most people are not gonna agree with. Like, I if somebody put all their money in Microsoft, I wouldn't be mad at them.
Hmm.
I don't think that Microsoft is the fastest grower right now, though. While I
It's
think
not.
Microsoft is a great company to be invested in, I think it has longevity. I think that your money's safe there, and I think that it will grow. You do have other companies that because they're for one because they're newer, um, they have more room for growth because Microsoft is a $3.8 trillion company when it comes to the valuation in the stock market. There are companies that can definitely see a larger percentage. But I do like Microsoft. I personally diversify. Like I'm gonna have my Nvidia, I'm gonna have my Bitcoin, I'm gonna have my Apple, things of that nature, just because you don't know what's going to grow more. Microsoft has had its times where I remember like maybe 2 years ago, Microsoft like cut in half or something crazy like
Hmm.
that. Because I remember that's when I got access to a lot of capital and put it into Microsoft
Yeah.
because I knew it was coming back. But yeah, you don't want your whole portfolio to be in a 40% crash. and you don't
Right.
have anything else in your portfolio to hedge it. While Microsoft is a great company, it still has its drawbacks. And
Yep.
you want to make sure that your portfolio, your entire portfolio, isn't drawing back with Microsoft when it has those decreases. What do you think? How are you diversifying if you are diversifying?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. That's the point of having so much access to so many different companies on the stock market, right? You could over diversify, which I think some people do, right? They put their money into, I mean, companies that are different just because they're in a different sector, because they were guided to do diversification of sectors. I mean, if we look at the last, I mean, like decade, the tech sector has been moving in such a way, like we no other sector is moving like the tech sector, right? But the idea is, if the tech sector decides to reverse, then other sectors would still stand up. But I mean, like, we see in 2020 that there isn't really a single sector that does the opposite of the tech sector. When the stock market goes down, everything goes down. In
Most things.
2022,
Yeah.
most things, I shouldn't say everything, right? Not a blanket, but most things do go down. And if it's not going down, then it's kind of standing still, right? So there's a difference between um, being in a stock that's going to grow and be safe, and then being in a stock that is like a little more risky but has potential for a lot of growth. The purpose of the stock market is to grow your money, right? And if you're putting your money into certain stocks that are extremely safe but aren't growing, then what's the difference between doing that and putting it into something like a savings account, right? We want our money to grow with a reasonable amount of risk, given your situation, given your age, given how close you are to retirement. So I do think that diversification is important, but I also feel like some people over diversify. I
I
mean, the proof is in
agree.
the pudding. You have so many stocks that have clearly shown you that 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, they've done well over and over again. What more evidence do you need? Right? At what point do you say this stock is doing well? I feel like for the next, at least the next 5 years, it can continue to do well. Right? Don't be a stock market doomsdayer and say Microsoft could disappear tomorrow. I mean, but come on. Will it though? Can it? I mean, I guess it could. Anything can happen tomorrow, but let's look at history and see the path that it's been on, you know? So that's some of the stuff that I just want people to think about. Go ahead.
Yeah, and going back to the over diversifying, man, that's a great point. But I see that a lot more with older people. Man, they get stuck in their ways. You still see people investing in bonds.
Yeah.
Bonds is crazy, man.
Yeah. And
Bonds is crazy.
yeah. I don't, yeah, that's the thing. Like, what conversations did they have? Because to some people, bonds are a surefire way, safe way to make money, but it's so slow. It's so slow. Yeah. I want someone, and I think it'll be cool if you compared the amount of growth in a stock or in a bond or to like salary, right? Like, if you are in a bond and you put $500 in and in 10 years it doubles, what is that? What was your salary for for those 10 years? Like, if you had to just spill it out for from year to year, what does that look like? I'm interested in seeing that. Like, what does that look like as far as how much you would have made every month if you doubled your money in 10 years? So stuff like that is what I'm interested in, because it sounds good and everyone thinks, yeah, 10 years is going to happen anyway. But a 100% return in 10 years is crazy. That's wild, bro. Like, it's
That's less than ten
guaranteed, but
percent. That's less
yeah,
than 10%
yep. And we've seen lately the market do well over 10% every year, like well over,
consistently,
right?
bro. I think since I've started, I've probably gotten 10% maybe twice out of like
Hmm.
11 years of investing.
Yeah. So it's easy to find the times that it did happen and say, see, it does. But what about
Nah,
the other 9 times that it didn't? You know, is that not also evidence? And then we could do, proportions, probability. There is a 80% chance that the stock market will do over 10%, given the last 11 years it did over. 10%, 9 of those 11 years. Something like that, right? Like, yeah, I know that we have to take that stock market it's in its entirety, and a lot of people don't like to say that the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq give you more than 10% because if you take its average from its existence, then it's a 10% average. But I mean, let's be real. The stock market is moving faster now than it has done in the past.
Yeah.
Technology is not what it was 30 years ago. So you have companies that are growing a lot faster, which means their stock is going to move a lot faster, which means things like the S&P 500 and Nasdaq are going to move faster. We have to we have to realize that. I mean, I guess what I'm just saying is like a lot of times people say that to kind of downplay the power of the stock market and water down the actual gains and the potential gains by saying, well, if you go back 40 years, then the Nasdaq and the S&P only went up 7%. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but
Yeah.
that was a long time ago, man. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Def
diversification is important. Don't over diversify. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't over diversify. I know me, like I mainly stick with those top companies in the S&P because I don't even invest in the S&P, honestly. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I got some QQQ, but S&P, I don't see why. I know everybody stresses, hey, S&P, but mm-mm, not for me.
I mean,
It doesn't have the returns from these other investments that I've been putting my money into.
I think the wildest thing is if you look at the S&P top holding, it's all the same top holding that's in the Nasdaq, bro. It's like,
It's all
all
tech.
right, it's all tech, all tech. If you look at the top in the S&P and you look at the top in the Nasdaq 100, dang near one for one, because the companies that have the highest market cap and are the most valuable in the US are pretty much all tech companies. So,
Yep. So number one, Nvidia. Number two,
yeah.
Microsoft. Three,
Mm-hmm.
Apple. Four, Amazon. Five, Meta. And I'm big on Meta too.
Mm-hmm.
Six, Broadcom. Seven, Alphabet, or the parent company
Google.
of Google.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla is number eight. Ill. Number nine,
But you a
Berkshire
hater, bro.
Hathaway. And then 10, they got the other alphabet. Because
Yeah.
you know there's
The
two. There's a class
yeah.
and then they got class C.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah. All right, man. Well, look, folks, we hope y'all was able to tune in, get some good information about Microsoft and why we think it should be a stock to look at, potentially add to your portfolio. And then, diving into the actual idea of diversification and what it can mean if you are over diversified and potentially cutting into your gains by playing it somewhat too safe, dare I say. Of course, all of this depends on where you are, what your financial situation is. This is not financial advice. We are simply providing you all with information so that you all can make your own decisions. All right. So we appreciate you all tuning in. Um, if you got this far, man, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that share button, let someone else know about some of the stuff we're doing here at Investors Playbook. Again, just giving free game. We want people to become more invested in the stock market. We want people to get off the sidelines. So, all right, Cornell, what you got for me before we close out?
Man, it sounds good, man. See y'all next time.
All right, peace out. Catch y'all
Peace.
next week.